Hey there, so today I'm going to show you how to create a sliced finger or sliced hand effect. I posted this on Instagram about 1.5 years ago. Since then, it's probably been one of my most recreated looks. There's even been a couple of tutorials put out by people on how to create it. I wanted to share my version of it with you today because I feel like there's some subtleties that were missed in some of the tutorial explanations. Hopefully you get something from this and enjoy. So what we'll need to create this look is some nose and skull wax. If you want it to last longer, you can definitely create it in silicone. The only thing I'd say about silicone is you'll need a thickener for it, just to hold its shape when you apply it to the skin. Normally these silicones as they are a little bit too runny, so look for a thickener if you do it in silicone. If you decide you're going to do it in nose and skull wax, you'll need some adhesive to stick that down. So I've got spirit gum here. You could use prosaide if you want to. Some petroleum jelly to smooth things out. You'll need some form of color palette. So this is just a Skin Illustrator Flesh Tones palette. You'll also need the effects palette as well, because you'll need a black tone, which isn't in this, but what you're looking for in particular are just the flesh tones and a red tone. If you don't have Skin Illustrator palettes, you can just use kind of grease paints if you're just playing around. This is Meron Cover Up Makeup Palette. This is Mask Grease Paint. You need a mixture of brushes. What you're looking for in particular is something with a really fine point. So that's what this guy is here. This is a model making brush, a brush for painting small scale models. You can also use nail art brushes. That's one of those here. These are great because they're cheap, but unfortunately they don't last very long. You can pick these up on eBay. You need a mixture of sculpting tools. So these are the ones that I normally go to in all of my videos. You can also pick these up on eBay as well. You'll need some regular blood as well. So this is Mold Life. I always use this in pretty much all of my makeups now. The one other thing I forgot is you'll need some sponges. So I've been using sponges to kind of add texture to skull wax and to get rid of some of the shine as well when you smooth it out with petroleum jelly. And the one thing I wanted to add is I always get kind of comments from people about where they can buy some of these supplies from. So I just wanted to show you, this is sort of a combination of things here. These are all Meron products. They're relatively cheap and you can pick them up in fancy dress stores, or if you've got a Halloween supply store in the city or town you live in. This little pack here has a small palette, or small container, sorry, of nose and skull wax and a bit of spirit gum as well. This is Meron coagulated blood, and this is the Mask grease paint. So you could definitely just buy these from a shop and use these to recreate the look without a problem. Meron also do liquid bloods as well, so that's all you need to buy to recreate this look, and that's it. So what we'll want to do to start is put some spirit gum down in the area that you are going to apply the nose and skull wax. But what I'm going to do is I'll create the sliced part just on my fingertip here. What I normally do too is I just sort of go, I'm pretty generous with the spirit gum as well, so I'll normally kind of apply a little bit more or go beyond the points that the skull wax will stop. So I put some along the bottom here because I want this bottom edge to stick out, and then on the opposite side of my finger I've put it on the top here because I want the top part to stick out this way. So I'll explain more when I apply the nose and skull wax. And once you've done that, what you want to do next is you want to get a little bit of nose and skull wax. And I think one of the biggest sort of problems I've seen with people recreating this makeup is they literally grab a ball this big and then they stick it on the side of their hand and then they start kind of to smooth it out. You don't want to exaggerate the width of your finger too much. So what I normally do is I sort of grab a ball of it and then I press it out flat first. Not too flat because you'll be doing a little bit of smoothing, but Normally sort of about this size and roughly about that thick. And what you want to do is you want to kind of stick that down. You can go over the kind of cut area slightly because we can go back in and neaten that up with tools. But the idea with this part is to kind of smooth the wax out to your finger, but as naturally as you kind of possibly can. And by that I mean you don't want to be excessive with the amount of wax you put on. As you can see, you can sort of, see my skin through that scar wax there. And I want to try and blend this back down to my skin as naturally as I possibly can. You don't want a big kind of ridge to stick out here. It almost looks like a bit of a, some versions I've seen looks sort of somewhat like a skateboard ramp. You just want to be really subtle with it here. So, but basically what you want to do is kind of repeat this on the top side here. So I'll go ahead and do that now. As you'll notice, if I hold that up now to the camera, you can't really kind of see, the transition from skin to wax. Obviously you can see the color of it, but naturally it sort of almost looks like it's following the edge of my finger here, when in fact it's sort of still sticking up here at the end by about kind of 2 millimeters or so. So I'm relatively happy with that now. I've gone around and I've smoothed the wax out as much as I can. As you can see, I haven't been kind of excessive with the amount that kind of sticks out on the side. I also try not to cover too much of the detail in the finger as well. And what you want to do if you recreate it on another part of the body, so if you do it on the palm here, you want to try and do the same thing again. Like, try not to cover up too much of these details. It just adds to the realism when you leave some of these creases and folds visible. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this sculpting tool and I'm going to dip it in a little bit of petroleum jelly, and I'm going to go back and sharpen up the edge of this wound. So what you want to do is just drag it over the edge of the nose and scar wax, and then create kind of like a smooth edge like that, if you can see that. So what I want to do now is I want to, on the opposite side, get the tool and sort of start in the crease that I created before, and I want to drag around this side now. And there you go. So that's the kind of initial cut. And what I normally do now is in here you've got sort of some jagged edges, and this doesn't necessarily always happen, but if you find that you do have a couple of jagged edges, just go back in with either a Q-tip or something like that, or a brush that doesn't have anything on it, and you can just wipe over those and kind of clean them up, or get rid of them. So I'm just going to go in and do that now. So once you're relatively happy with the slice, what you can do is go in and start coloring. So what I normally do before I color is I'll just go back in with a bit of sponge and very, very lightly dab over the top of the scar wax. This just removes any of the excess petroleum jelly. It also gets rid of the shine, and it also sort of prepares the nose and scar wax for painting as well. So the paints will adhere a lot better with a bit of texture on the surface. You want to just kind of start with washes first. So start with a little bit and kind of add to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the inside with a bit of the pink rose adjuster, and you can just lightly dab this on. The lighter you are, the better, obviously, because you don't want to damage the wax that you've just put down. So I'm just going to go back in. Feel free to use your fingers as well. If you use your fingers over Skin Illustrator, you kind of mottle the paint a little bit, which is fantastic because that's normally, there's like a kind of pinky white mottled effect on the inside naturally of everyone's hands. So I just go back in and let layers of this dry, and then go back in and build back up on top of them again. So now that I'm relatively happy with the amount of pink I've added to this, I'm going to go back in and add just some sort of darker skin tones over the top, just to try and reduce some of the paleness of this nose and scar wax. Obviously I could sit here and finesse it all day and adjust the color until it's absolutely precise, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how you can go in and color this. So, and then the next step after this is to go back in and kind of paint in the blood tone just on the inside here. So I've now added some red to both sides of the wound, as you can see. The other thing that I do once I've filled in the red is I like to go back in with a bit of black, and what I normally do is just get a really fine tipped brush and I draw a sort of black line to kind of join the two sides up together to kind of give the illusion that the cut has gone all the way through the finger. Now see, I've gone in and added a bit too much black just on the inside there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my brush with some alcohol and get rid of most of the paint, and then take any excess alcohol off. And what you can kind of do is go back in and just, you know, paint back over that black again. That's one of the great things about skin illustrator palettes or alcohol activated paint is you can go back in and remove without too much damage. You can remove some of the coloring that you put in there. So that's it there. And then the only last part now is to add blood. So what I normally do is, well, you just need a little bit of blood for this. You don't want to go kind of too crazy with it. You just want to kind of paint the inside edges. And if you want to, you can have a little bit of it kind of drip down. But I think less is definitely more when it comes to adding blood to this makeup. And what I also do with that black line that I painted before, I normally don't put too much blood on the brush again, but just go along and kind of dab little bits along that black line to kind of give the illusion that it has been cut all the way through. That's it there. I'm not overly happy with the amount of blood in there, so I'll probably go back in and mop that up a little bit. So that's my slice finger effect there. As you can see, I haven't gone too crazy with the blood. I definitely haven't gone crazy with the nose and scar wax. I think being really subtle and spending the time to color match the nose and scar wax back to your actual skin color definitely pays off and definitely helps with the illusion a lot. You don't have to do it on your finger. You could do it on, you know, another part of the body as well. I've done it on my palm before. I've seen people do it on their legs. I've also seen friends do it on their necks as well, so it can look kind of cool that way too. You don't have to settle for one cut. You can actually do 2 cuts or more. So that's it. That is my sliced finger. Thanks for watching.